my strengths involves being very empathetic and being a compassionate person. I feel like a lot of people are mean, and especially working in the work environment that I've been in, people don't seem to care or have any type of feelings for the other person. And I think just being a genuinely nice person is a quality that some people, not everyone has. And I tend to believe that everyone does have that quality. And I feel like I get kind of not let down when other people are mean to me or not treated correctly or appropriately in the work environment. And I just have to try and remind myself that not everyone is as compassionate or encouraging or supportive as me and other people in my family that I've grown up with. So that's kind of been a struggle and more of a strength that I've seen for myself. Being more, I guess, non-judgmental is also something I'm trying to work on. I used to be a really judgmental person, even though I would say I'm not judging anyone, and then right away I would judge them. And I've noticed that over the last year or two, I'm really trying to not be judgmental and really try and think and just say, I don't know how that person's day went. They could have gotten the worst news of their life. Who knows what that person just went through. It happened the other day when I was at a restaurant. I got horrible service. I wanted to go talk to the manager, write a bad review about the person, including their name, but I just thought and stepped back for a second and said, no, I'm not going to do that. That person could have had the worst day of their life, and they could have had to come to work. So having that perspective, I think, is a strength, and I think that will take me far in consulting and clinical work to just not be judgmental.
It sounds like you're worried about what other people think as far as you judging them, and you don't want to come off like you're being judgmental. I think that's a really hard skill to learn because they are.
Yeah, it
do
is.
the same thing.
I mean, I struggle every day with it still. And I'll still judge people.
Like first impression kind of judging.
Mm-hmm. But I'll try and step back and think, I shouldn't be doing that. Mm-hmm. So that's been helpful. I think especially since I just started the program, just this past year, I've been more aware of it and trying to focus on not being like that. Mm-hmm. Another thing I think that would be a strength is working with children. I work really well with them. I've been working with them for the past 6 years, been babysitting, and then I worked at the Child Development Center at Rollins, and then I work at Montessori now. So just really being involved with the children and being patient with them, that's a huge thing, especially with a lot of my friends that don't work with children and they have kids. I see them freaking out on them, being a not good parent, and I wanted to step in and say something, but I don't, so I step back, and sometimes I will say something just because it can get a little ridiculous, but most of the times I try not to, and I realize that not everyone is working well with kids, and that's a huge thing, and I didn't realize that until I started to work with kids, because I feel like you don't know until you start, and you either work well with them or you don't. And I've known some people that worked in, like my aunt, she got her master's in education, went to be a school teacher, hated it. Didn't like it at all. Didn't like working with kids, wasted that kind of amount of time, but she realized that she didn't like it. So I was just really happy that when I finally started to actually work with the kids, I felt like I was helping them, making a difference, changing my life to help me become more patient. So I think that will be good too with ABA, since I'll be wanting to work with children probably more so than adults.
Yeah, I found that too when especially when I started doing ABA. I'd be in the grocery store in the line and I'm seeing parents screaming at their kids and I'm like, should I say something? Should I not say something? No, I shouldn't. And so, there's so many times where I'm like, I want to intervene, but I can't.
Gotta keep silent.
Yeah. But there were this one time I was in the grocery store and this man was like really screaming at his children. Like screaming. They're maybe between 2 to 6, like in age. And there were ladies around him and behind him that were scolding him.
Really?
For the way he was treating his kids. And I was like, I'm not anything.
let the moms do that.
Yeah, they were on him. How dare you? He's only 2. How could you take his cookie away? I mean, they were going crazy. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
That's funny. Let's see. One of my other strengths I'd say is that I try not to multitask, even though I do catch myself doing it. I learned from my listening class that there's no such thing as multitasking, and you're merely just switching from one task to the other, which makes sense. And I've written that down in my resume before when I've applied to places. And sometimes I'm like, maybe they think that's a bad thing because places kind of want people to multitask. But I mean, I'm trying to be honest and say I'm trying to be a better listener and not multitask and just focus on one thing instead of, doing one thing and then another thing and then another thing and just keep going back and forth instead of just really merely focusing on one thing, getting it done, and then moving on to the next task. So I think that's a big positive plus in the work environment.
I think it depends what kind of job you're in.
That's true.
I think, I worked as a cashier when I was younger. It was one of my first jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And you definitely had to multitask.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be able to scan the items and talk to the customers, type it into the computer, and all kinds of things. Yeah. So
true.
in some ways you need to multitask,
Mm-hmm.
but I think if you're talking about clinical and consulting skills or being with somebody, I think that you have to provide your undivided attention.
Yeah, that's true. Especially, I think too with business, you have to multitask. Now that I think about it, so it does depend on the profession. That's interesting.
Yeah, it probably depends what you're doing. But if you're studying or doing homework, you have to focus on that one thing.
Right. I'd say a weakness is just not being fully present in the moment. I'm constantly not listening as carefully as I should, more so reacting and not responding, thinking about what I'm going to say next, or why did that person just say that? Not really thinking, oh, they had a good point. Just trying to, I guess, not argue, but try and decipher my response more so than truly listening to what they're wanting to express. Just really thinking too much and not responding as well as I should. And I think that's a big weakness, especially with wanting to do ABA or any type of therapy that involves listening.
I think with ABA, though, a lot of what you have to do is you have to be aware at all times. So I think part of that is multitasking, because when you're working with a client, you're gonna, you're focusing on what you're gonna do next, maybe, and you're preparing your materials. But at the same time, you have to watch the child, because if he gets up and runs away, you're gonna have to run, drop everything, go after him. It just depends.
That's true.
I think on the time and place and where you're at and what you're doing at that point.
Yeah, because when I was working with a little boy, he would run off, have to drop everything, what I was doing, what I was thinking, go after him, and then respond correctly in the appropriate way, because he had an attention-seeking disorder, and you're right, it was really hard, and I had to multitask a lot while doing that.
Yeah, and I think too, finding that you always have to be aware of what they're doing. If you take your eyes off them for 1 second, they could be out the door and around the corner.
Something else, that's true. Or doing something that you didn't see, and then that's the one thing that made them act that way. That's a good point. My nonverbals can also be pretty bad. My face will either be too animated, or it'll just be still and silent and really no facial expressions. And I think that is probably more so better than when my face expresses everything, because sometimes I won't even notice that my face is doing that. And it's not good in the work environment when I work with kids, especially if I'm talking with another teacher, or if something one of the little kids got hit by the ball. It was really funny, and I started bursting out laughing. It's like the teacher shouldn't be laughing, you know. So it's just trying to work on, I guess, maintaining more of my composure and responding and acting appropriately with verbal and nonverbals. I bounce a lot too. I fidget a lot. I'll do it without even noticing it too. I'll bite my fingernails or I'll try and talk with my hand in front of my mouth a lot. So I feel like almost I think the nonverbals are almost more important than the verbals because that catches people's attention and distracts people. Sometimes I sit too relaxed, and other times I'll sit without even moving. So I feel, and I don't adjust that appropriately to the setting or the client. And I think all those are good things to notice. It just, you have to do it appropriately in the correct context. And that's where I struggle with that. So I think just trying to be more aware of it and where I'm doing it and why I'm doing it will help.
I think too, the self-awareness will come with experience. Because I feel like if you're sitting in an important meeting, maybe you're with a supervisor and parents, and you see that other people are sitting like this, and you're kind of exuding that level of professionalism, I think it will come easier. Whereas if you're just having like a casual conversation, like you and I right now, we're not going to sit like this and try to maintain that because we're just having a conversation. Whereas I think it depends on the level of interaction. I mean, for us with ABA, I feel like a lot of our communications with parents are going to be informal.
Right.
So we're going to pass them when, they're dropping their kids off in the morning or in the afternoon, or, if you see them in the hallway or what have you. So, or if you're doing an in-home setting, then you would be working with them on a more intimate level. So I think that just being aware of what situation you're in and being able to adjust yourself to that. And I feel like that will come once you're actually in that setting.
Yeah.
Because if you're in somebody's home, you're going to be a little bit more casual and it's going to be more comfortable than whereas if you're at a formal meeting with a group of staff members and you're doing like a round robin and people are going through. And so I just think there's a time and a place for all that.
That's what I need to work on. Because I have it, I can do all the various expressions, I guess, or techniques, I guess you could call them, but it's just trying to apply it in the correct setting. Like I talk too low sometimes. So in a meeting the other week, when I had to speak, I had to really try and speak up, and it took me, I had to think for a minute. Okay, I have to talk loud so that everyone can hear me. I have to talk clearly. I'm not just talking with the little boy or the little girl that I work with one-on-one with them and then running over to the teacher and telling them something. I'm talking to a whole group of people and professionals and just trying to, like you said, almost look around and see how they're acting and trying just to follow that since I haven't really been in that role too long and haven't gained that much experience like that. I think looking at other people is really helpful and trying to gain new, I guess, ways of dealing with parents and that's hard too. Dealing with the parents has been, because like you said, I want to almost tell them everything, like all the knowledge I've gained, what I've observed, what I've seen, all my notes, and a lot of the times they just want to come in and just talk and just vent. And that's, my boss has told me, that's a lot of these meetings, I know you want to share your information, but a lot of the times it's just not the place, and the parents just want to come in and make sure
they just want somebody to hear them, to hear
their concerns. So that's been also a struggle that I've been trying to deal with.
That makes sense.
What's the time? I don't deal that well with silence, which I think is another thing of me like moving or cracking my knuckles or like doing my hair, just trying to like stay busy and stay distracted. And I know in a lot of times it's okay to not be distracted. It's okay to just be there, like, with the client or with whoever you're speaking to one-on-one and not be moving and not be, thinking about other things, because that's probably my biggest weakness, is just getting distracted and then thinking about what I want to think about and not being present in the moment with the other person. Mm-hmm. And I get upset when I can tell other people if I want to talk to someone and they're not being fully present with me. They're like texting or, I'll say something that I really want to talk to them about, and then they'll just like go off and just talk about their day. And it can be with my best friend, and I do that too. I think everyone does it. It's just trying to be aware of it and trying to be
a better listener, maybe.
Mm-hmm. When you think the person really needs you to be.
Yeah, I think something that I've struggled with, and this is probably a little off topic, but I notice that when I'm having a conversation, especially with somebody new that I don't know that well, I'll try to find like things that we have in common. And I'll say, "Oh, me too," and it's kind of taking away from what they're saying.
I do that a lot.
And it's hard, but you want to connect, so it's like, okay, how do you find that balance so that you can make that connection? Because in a way, it's like building rapport. Yeah, without, oh my gosh.
Me too. Let's go. Like, it's hanging out.
Yeah.
That's how
it's
I am
hard.
too. That's funny.
It's hard. Like, just having that level of
balance, I guess you could say, almost. Yeah. And just being present and not being distracted. That's a big thing.
And that's hard. Like, I mean, we're all sitting here with our phones. I'm seeing it light up. I'm like sideways glancing. Like, I want to check it, but you
can't right now. Yeah.
It's hard.
And your mind's constantly going. Like, you don't ever think about nothing. So
and I think you're probably sleeping.
Yeah, right? So I think to truly give your undivided attention to someone is a rare quality that not many people have. And when you do develop that quality, I don't think you'll ever be able to get rid of it. I think you'll have that for life, and that's a really powerful thing to have. So I think if that's like one thing that I can learn in grad school is like to truly be a better listener and not just say I'm a better listener. I think that'll really help me throughout my life. Just not even in practice, just like being a better person, a better friend.
I think that's true. I think that's something we all can benefit from, because especially in our generation growing up, this thing has been attached to me for like the last 15 years probably, since I got a phone.
Literally, like 15. Morning, night, all day.
Yeah. Like,
wherever you go.
It comes with me to the bath.
The shower.
It's here. Like, I always have it.
Yeah.
But it's something to where we really have to think about, because I feel like in some ways, like, you may be building your relationship with a person on the other side of the phone, but it kind of makes that hard to build those relationships when we're with other people.
That's true.
And that makes it really hard to connect. Like, even at work, even in the work setting, when I'm working with kids, like, I have to try to put it away.
Me too.
Or if I am using it with a client for, whatever we're doing at the time, if I want to show them a video or something, it's so easy to get distracted by whatever's going on the phone and
check something else. Yeah. I remember you posted something on Facebook and it was like, I'm just going to invite everyone over so they can stare at their phones. I thought of that last night. I was over at my friend's house. I kid you not, everyone, and I put my phone down 3 times, and everyone was still on their phone. So I was just like, whatever, I'm going to pick it back up again and look at it and just scroll on Facebook forever.
And then one person does it, and then
everybody doing it for 30 minutes. No one said anything. 2 people I was with were literally on their phones the entire time. Didn't even look up. Didn't even notice that I put my phone down. I walked in the house. I came back out. I was about to say, I'm going to leave, guys. Like, this is boring. Like, I can just go to my house and do this.
Right.
No words. Nothing.
It's
for
like
30 minutes.
Even with my family now.
Zombies.
My family does the same thing. My dad, he's in his 70s. He sits there on the phone. I'm like, Dad, no phone. This is family dinner night.
It's
no phone.
Crazy. Yeah, I think about like
as soon as he learns how to do it. They all do it. They're texting.
My friend just looks at videos all day. All day.
You just have everything at your fingertips, and it's hard to build those connections. But I mean, when you're thinking like clinical and consulting skills, can you imagine sitting with a therapist and they're on their phone the whole time?
Right.
Like, that would be so disrespectful. So.
Yay.
We're done?
Yeah.
Okay, so now we can talk.
Good feedback.
Okay. How did you feel talking about your strengths and weaknesses?
It was good to get it out. Like, I've known that these are my strengths and my weaknesses. I've said that, I should probably deal with that, and I need to work on that one day. But I just haven't really done it before. And to actually write it out on paper and think about it and think about examples, and just especially within this last year, how everything's changed from being in the program, I think it helped a lot. I'm probably going to be more mindful, at least. I'm not going to say that I'm going to change anything, because I think change takes a while, and it's a process for sure. But at least now I can be more aware and mindful of my weaknesses, especially my weaknesses, because I have more weaknesses than strengths, and I think they're weaknesses that can be worked on and developed. It's not that they're difficult, it just takes practice and it takes effort.
Well, it's self-awareness. You have to be aware that this is something that you can improve on, and I think all of us as young professionals, everybody has things that they can improve on and do better, and
especially being young, you're right, because when you're older, it's kind of like you get stuck in your ways. And I mean, older people change, obviously, but I feel like it's a lot harder to change. It's hard for me to change right now when I've been doing stuff for so long, how I have been. Can't imagine when I'm older trying to change my ways, so I feel like trying to develop a good skill set now will be beneficial when I'm older.
For sure. I think even as we go through this class and being able to watch the videos, like, you'll be able to see your interaction and see what you look like. I mean, even now, like, we're talking, and I'm trying to think of feedback to give you, nothing sticks out to me. Because I feel like we know each other already, we're having a conversation, like, nothing is sticking out. This is kind of informal. It's not like we're in a structured setting. Oh, you're sitting with your legs crossed, or what have you.
Yeah, I'm bending down. Yeah.
But this is how we are. So.
And that's how a lot of it will probably be, like you said, with ABA, like with home visits, and you're not going to be going and dressing 100% professional. You'll probably freak the kid out. Like Dr. Dunn said when she wore her outfit, like, you need to be mindful of the situation and the setting that you're going into.
Yeah, but I think at the same time with that, and something that I've struggled with, especially since I've started working, and I've been out of undergrad now for like 6 years, I'm always told that I look so young. And when I first entered the workforce after college, I would constantly get feedback. Oh, you look so young. And I think
that's like me.
And it was hard because that level of respect isn't there, because they're judging me and they're thinking, okay, she's young, she's right out of school, she doesn't know what she's doing. Oh, she doesn't have kids. Whatever their preconceptions were, and that's something that has really been a struggle. So at the same time, it will be a relaxed environment, but you still want to put yourself together and try to present yourself in a way that people will respect you. I guess if you talk to them like they're people,
right?
Instead of at them. Not that you do that, but I'm just trying to think like ways.
More like robotically too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a process.
Any more feedback? We can cut it.
Yeah, you can cut it.
Will it stop and save?
Yeah, let's try.